Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. I am Stephanie Blank, the very proud board chair of GEEARS since its inception. And I am coming to you live from Cornell University, where I've been moving my daughter into her first apartment. She's in the background. She is a product of an early learning environment herself, and now she's here in college. So we are here today, in part, to take a moment to just pause, especially during this time of great uncertainty with the resurgence of the Delta variant. I think it's all made us a little unsure of everything, but what I am sure of is the impact that our partners and that GEEARS has made on our youngest learners. So for that, we want to express gratitude. We want to celebrate our past achievements, as well as articulate our goals for the future. But before we get this virtual party started, I did want to take a moment and acknowledge two individuals that you're going to see in a video who started their journey in state leadership at the same time GEEARS was starting its journey with leadership at the state level as well. And frankly, I think each of us helped the other be successful. So with that, we'd like to show you two short videos from the former governor and First Lady Deal.
Happy anniversary. Congrats.
Hello, this is Nathan Deal, the former governor of the state of Georgia. I want to congratulate GEEARS on its 10th anniversary. And let me tell you why I think it's important, the work that is being done by this organization. One of the things we know is that children learn at a very early age, and that it cannot always be done through the traditional public school system or even the private school system. You have to start early. And that's what GEEARS emphasizes, not only making sure that parents have as much education as possible in order to help their children learn, but also that those who are working in our daycare centers and in other settings have the skills and have the support that is necessary to do what they are trying to accomplish. And that is, as they're saying, no small matter. Congratulations.
Hello, I'm Sandra Deal, former First Lady of Georgia. It has been my privilege to serve the state and especially to serve the young children of our state. Stephanie Blank, when she was president of GEEARS, came to me with some research and some ideas, and I took all that into consideration. We worked with those and shared information back and forth, and we were able to make a difference during the time I was in office. I thank you for that, and I thank Stephanie. I'm proud that GEEARS is celebrating their 10th anniversary. Congratulations.
So thank you to the governor and the First Lady. They were wonderful, wonderful partners, and we miss them, but glad that they are still championing early childhood education and literacy here in this state. So as you all know, we had grand plans for a party. We planned on having great food, balloons, wonderful, adorable children to do performances, and many honored guests. And obviously, the circumstances today have prevented us from being there in person. So we can't serve you a meal. We don't have any real balloons. There's some virtual ones. And the only young children that I have around are college age. But we are still honored that you chose to join us today as we celebrate our anniversary. And while I can't personally hug or greet all of you, I do want you to know how much we appreciate our sponsors of today's events, as well as our current and former board members whose names are on the slide that you see on your screen. Your support and leadership has made everything that we've been able to do possible. So congratulations to all of you as well. You share in our success. And then I want to acknowledge and recognize our amazing, amazing staff. You'll hear from Mindy Benderman, our executive director, in just a few moments, but just like all of us, she couldn't do it without a team, and she has assembled an amazing team of hardworking, dedicated, caring folks who have stuck with us during all of this craziness over the past year and a half, and have really stepped up during some really difficult and challenging times to make sure that our young people and the support system around them are still getting all that they need during COVID. So while we're here today, we're going to try and have a little bit of fun during this hour. You see our virtual balloons. So we hope that you will use the chat to share greetings. I see many of you have already been doing that, or a story about how you have partnered with GEEARS or how our work has helped with your goals as an organization or funder. We also are going to have some opportunities to test your knowledge about early learning and our work. So we have 5 questions today. If you get all of them correct, and this is an honor system, we know you're all very honorable people, we will ask you to email us at GEEARS for a chance to win a gift card to Highland Bakery. As you know, Highland Bakery is a locally owned, amazing bakery and restaurant. There's several of them throughout the city, run by someone who happens to be a dear friend, but she's an amazing woman who supports a lot of education issues in our city, in addition to having the most amazing peanut butter French toast. So you'll want to play along so you have a chance to win that gift card. So our first question is about the start of GEEARS. In 2010, an early education commission, which was convened by United Way of Greater Atlanta and chaired by Dennis Lockhart, who was then head of the Federal Reserve Bank here in Atlanta, and Beverly Daniel Tatum, who was then president of Spelman College. And I was actually a part of that group too. At the end of all of that work, it called for the establishment of an independent organization that would solely focus on the birth to 5 age group and focus on advocacy, research, and public awareness. We named it GEEARS. And so how old does that make GEEARS today? Is GEEARS 10 years old, 11 years old, or 4 years old and we're ready to go off to pre-K? Kylie's in the background going, can she answer so she can get the gift card too? Okay. Well, actually, if you count in COVID years, you might think we're 10 years old, but we're actually passing our 11th anniversary milestone, which is hard to believe. Mindy and I have been on this journey together for that long, but we will forgive those of you who said 10 because of COVID. All my friends who had milestone birthdays said they didn't count their COVID year, but it's actually 11. So make sure that you count your 11s if you were correct in that. So as a not-for-profit dedicated to early childhood education, we certainly know about 1, 2, 3s and ABCs. But we also set some very lofty 10-year goals for ourselves when we were founded. And we did not want this pandemic to distract us from reporting on all the progress that we've made over the past 10 years to all of you, because it is a lot to celebrate. So we are very proud of all the work we have done, and most of it couldn't have been done without many of the partners on this call. We're going to highlight a few of them. If we were to get into everything, we might be here till our next anniversary, but we're going to share some highlights. So one is that we have created a stronger early childhood system in Georgia by partnering with DECAL, the Department of Early Care and Learning, to establish what is called Quality Rated, Georgia's Quality Rating and Improvement System. This gives child care programs technical assistance to improve quality, and it gives parents tools to more easily locate quality care for their children and to understand what goes into that system to make a quality early learning center. We have secured historic new investments in childcare. Thanks to GEEARS leadership, along with the work of many of our advocates from across the state and supportive state legislators, the state budget has included increases for CAPS, which is Georgia's child care subsidies, since 2017, when an additional $5.5 million was included in the budget. And during the current COVID emergency, our advocacy has helped bring over $2 billion in federal child care emergency relief funds to Georgia. We all know how critical child care has been to keeping the wheels moving here in Georgia. We have successfully advocated for policies that support young children and their families. Our work highlighting the importance of infant and toddler social and emotional health has resulted in establishing state-level leadership on infant and toddler social emotional health at DECAL, and establishing a new association to promote workforce development for mental health professionals who work with young children. Got to give a shout out to Callan for all the amazing work and partnerships she created at the state level. And we have helped to strengthen Georgia pre-K by rallying to preserve full day pre-K in 2011, back when Governor Deal first started, and successfully advocating for teacher salary parity in 2016, which was a budget increase of $28.5 million. We also helped defeat proposals to cut the pre-K budget in 2020, as was mentioned by some of our earlier shout outs. And most importantly, and we'll touch on this a little further on later, we helped raise awareness statewide on the importance of early childhood education. Now, this wouldn't have all been possible had we not been able to build a support throughout the entire state, support from pre-K voters from around the state. We are very, very lucky that this has been fully supported by the majority of our citizens. So that leads me to our next trivia question. So be sure to answer when the poll pops up on your screen. So when it was proposed last year to cut Georgia's pre-K program, approximately how many emails did early education advocates send to Georgia's legislatures last summer, which we think ultimately prevented these devastating cuts to Georgia's pre-K program? Was it 500? 1,200 or 10,000? Well, looks like everybody got that one right. It was 10,000. That's just incredible. And it shows you the power of what happens when committed, concerned voters get involved with their local leadership. It can make a difference. So thank you for all of you who actually jumped in and sent those letters to our state legislators. So during all of this, we also haven't shied away from the obligation to focus on some of the most urgent issues of our time. As we all know, we are in an era where there are great disparities, often by zip code, by race, by education, and by income. And our goal here at GEEARS is to ensure that a child's zip code does not determine their life outcome. That is why we have launched a citywide public-private alliance here in Atlanta, which is focused on improving outcomes for children ages 0 to 5 years old through strategic investments in stabilizing, improving, and expanding child care access and affordability, family supports, and public awareness. In the last 18 months alone, through this community level work, we have invested over $1.2 million in stabilization grants and scholarships, and are now working with partners on capital project opportunities. One more poll, or not poll, but a quiz is going to pop up for you there as well, if you guys could all answer that. We may have to be giving out more than one gift certificate. As 93% of you said, it is indeed packed. Promise all Atlanta children thrive. And we are so excited to Brittany and all the work she is doing and certainly hope that you will go and learn more about that online. So as I mentioned a moment ago, building a movement across the state which supports our youngest children and their families is one of our proudest accomplishments. We have raised awareness of the importance of the first 5 years of a child's life with countless speeches and presentations to groups of every size and every corner of the state, and every elevator we get on, and every side meeting we have. In fact, one of my favorite moments was when the CEO of the Atlanta Zoo told us at a meeting, he said, I can't go anywhere now where in a meeting where somebody's not talking about making sure we're paying attention to early childhood ed. And he said, I think GEEARS is responsible for that. So that was really great to hear. We have shared data tools and conducted research to analyze the needs of families. We have convened and led coalitions, roundtables, and advisory groups. We have brought some of the most nationally recognized speakers and inspiring voices on equity, early childhood education, and parenting. We have done all that we can to help bring as much awareness to our state leaders, our business leaders, our parents, and our caregivers around the state. There is more work to be done. The brain science continues to evolve, so we will never be finished, but I'm proud of all we've done in the past 11 years. Now you've got another trivia question popping up here, and you guys can answer that. I'm going to keep reading. We've hosted movie screenings as well, and we've done multi-day bus tours. I know many of you on the call have participated in our bus tours. We've done advocacy training and days at the Capitol. And our Mayor's Summer Reading Club has worked with hundreds of partners over the last 9 summers. And I think this should have been a trivia question because it's so astounding. We have distributed approximately 135,000 age-appropriate books to our kids. That's really astonishing. We've also gathered on Zoom so that teachers and parents could share their experiences with legislative staff. And the good news is that this is all working. Well, how do we know it's working? Well, we have done a lot of polling. It's one of the things that we have been tracking since our inception. And now more than ever, Georgia voters recognize the importance of early care and learning and policies that support working families. As we all know, we live in a very divided political environment. However, support for early learning is consistently strong and overwhelmingly bipartisan. According to our most recent polling, 91% of Georgia voters support pre-K, as you see on the slide. 85% support funding to increase quality and availability of childcare for infants and toddlers. And 88% of Georgia voters support funding to help low to moderate income families afford childcare. We think that that is something to celebrate and also gives our legislators a clear path forward in how they can continue to support this work as well. So we asked some of our partners to share in our celebration. If you logged in earlier, you saw some of them on the video. So here are a few more special highlights, and then I'll be turning it over for the road ahead to our Executive Director, Mindy Benderman.
GEEARS. I remember very well when I was first asked to co-chair the Early Education Commission of the United Way with Dennis Lockhart. When Dennis and I recruited 30 more leading Atlantans to come together and spend what turned into be 2 years of study, reading about and hearing from experts in the field of early childhood education, we knew that we were onto something big. We knew how important early childhood education, high quality early childhood education is.
Sorry, we're having a little technical difficulty. One moment.
important early childhood education, high quality early childhood education is for all of Atlanta's children. We also knew when we came to the end of our commission's work that we would need an organization that would champion, be an advocate for early childhood education in our region. And that's when GEEARS was born. I am so proud to know that Stephanie Blank and Mindy Benjamin and all the board members and many of you listening to this tonight have contributed your time, your talent, your treasure to ensure that early childhood education becomes a priority in our region. It makes a difference, and the work that GEEARS has done and is doing for this past 10 years and for the next 10 and decades after will make a difference for all of us in our region. Thank you, GEEARS. We appreciate you. We haven't gotten where we want to be yet, but we're a lot further than we would have been without you. Happy anniversary.
Hello, this is Milton Little, President and CEO of United Way of Greater Atlanta, wishing GEEARS a happy 10th anniversary. While the benefits of early learning are undeniable, not every child in Georgia has the opportunity to participate in early learning. GEEARS is in the business of making sure access and supply are not barriers to making sure that every child can get to kindergarten with every skill they need to be successful, to be competent and ready learners, so that all throughout their educational process, they're able to have the best success possible. I wish GEEARS a happy 10th anniversary and 10 more years of impact for children all across Georgia.
Happy anniversary, GEEARS. Congratulations on a successful and impactful 10 years. Because of your tireless efforts, our state leaders and policymakers understand the importance of quality early learning, social emotional health, language and literacy, and what families with young children need to be successful. On behalf of the entire team at DECAL, I thank each of you, past and present, for your partnership as we work together to improve the well-being for Georgia's youngest learners and their families. Congratulations.
Greetings, my name is Leslie Taylor, and I am a lead Atlanta Early Education Ambassador, which is the brainchild and falls under the umbrella of GEEARS. A primary reason that I believe that an organization like GEEARS is important is because as an Atlanta Early Education Ambassador, I have witnessed how this program initiative has provided a platform for like-minded persons of diverse ages, backgrounds, cultures, experiences, and professions to collectively utilize our voices, leverage our strengths, and exercise our power through outreach and advocacy efforts to inform families and promote awareness of early learning programs, resources, and opportunities across the city, but particularly in underserved communities. So thank you, GEEARS, for both the tangible and unseen impact that you have made in the field of early learning these past 10 years, and I can't wait to see what's in store for the next 10 years.
Hello, my name is Tammy Hines, and I am an Atlanta Early Education Ambassador. To the family, happy anniversary! On behalf of the ambassadors and the community, we want to thank you for all the hugs, handshakes, and tokens of appreciation. You've always given us the tools we need to go out and share the good news of early learning and education. So GEEARS, it is because of you that we can.
Happy birthday.
Hello. I am so thrilled to be celebrating our anniversary with you and all, and thank you all for the messages. I wish that we were in person and look forward to celebrating an unbirthday sometime soon. As I'm Mindy Benjamin, the Executive Director of GEEARS, and as my collaborator, my friend, and our fearless leader, Stephanie, reminded you all at the beginning, this is actually our 11th anniversary. The traditional gift for the 11th anniversary is steel, and that couldn't be more appropriate for our next decade as we approach it with steely determination to make an impact on the lives of our youngest children. I'm thrilled to share some of the highlights of our new strategic framework that our board approved earlier this summer. Our mission remains unchanged and unwavering. We support high quality, early learning and healthy development for Georgia's youngest children from birth to 5 by promoting policies, by championing innovative and evidence-based practices, and by building public will. For most of our first 10 years, GEEARS focused on increasing access to quality and affordable childcare and policies to support healthy child development. And we'll maintain our focus on these areas, but we'll also add a third policy focus area on family well-being, because we understand that children live in the context of a family. And when all the members of a family have the supports they need, for example, paid leave, healthy housing, access to job training, their children are more successful. So to be even more impactful in the future, we will work to broaden and deepen our reach throughout the state, to expand partnerships with key audiences in the business and the K-12 communities, and to build a broader, more inclusive and diverse network of advocates who work side by side with us to influence policy change. We'll intensify our focus on high impact research, and will strengthen our capacity to support local stakeholders as they develop and scale community-based initiatives. We'll work to do an even better job of grounding our advocacy, both in research and data, and in the needs of providers, families, and children, and by being impressed and exposed to their experiences. Our state has recently received historic levels of new federal funding for childcare, and all of us together have a tremendous opportunity to help children, families, and the childcare system emerge stronger from the pandemic. We will advocate to ensure that the state effectively uses these new federal funds, coupled with state dollars, to repair and redesign early childhood systems in order to increase access to families and children who have historically faced the most barriers to opportunity, and to support the early childhood workforce who has also faced some of these same barriers. We know that children and families in Georgia have inequitable access to early care and health opportunities that results in disproportionate outcomes, particularly along the lines of race, ethnicity, disability, and geography. While GEEARS work has long focused on addressing those gaps, the events of the past several years shows us that equity must be at the forefront of our work, driving the issues we prioritize, the strategies we pursue, and the metrics to which we hold ourselves accountable. Our strategic plan reflects this imperative. I'm energized, I'm inspired by our plans, and I hope I can count on each one of you to work with us in the years ahead. As I mentioned before, the traditional 11th anniversary gift is steel, which also acknowledges the strong bonds between partners. And as we celebrate our 11th anniversary and look ahead, I'm so thankful for the strong bonds we've built with all of you. In particular, as I close, I just want to thank our past and our current board members, including my collaborator in this work, Stephanie Blank. I also want to share thanks for each one of our staff members. I wish I could call each of you out because you're brilliant and you're all doing fantastic work, and you haven't missed a beat since we all started working remotely in March of 2020. And I just appreciate all of you so much. I'm also thankful for our funders who have not only supported us financially, but have been such stalwart partners and advisors throughout our time. And I celebrate the parents of every young children, especially those who are struggling right now during this pandemic. I want to thank the elected officials, some of whom I've seen on the call today, and our partners at Georgia's Child Serving State Agencies who work with us so well. We appreciate the business, civic and religious leaders who have stepped up to be champions for this work, and our own early education ambassadors led by DeJuan Barfield, who deliver food, school supplies, enroll families in pre-K, and share such vital information about community services. And once again, we applaud some of the heroes who are our early educators who have worked throughout the pandemic to lovingly care for our youngest children. And finally, I thank our coalition members, our P3 fellows. I've seen some of you today, our summer reading club partners who work with us each day. I want to thank you all for being part of the statewide movement to support young children and their families. Our state, and certainly GEEARS, is stronger because of your work. And speaking of work, we're now going to move to our panel. As our state and nation work to rebuild our economy in this next phase of the COVID-19 health crisis, we know that industries are plagued by worker shortages. We also know, according to research, that as many as 2 million women could leave corporate America or choose to downsize their careers, due in part to the stress of caregiving demands. And if these trends are left unaddressed, they will exacerbate existing inequalities and reverse decades of progress towards a more inclusive economy. In 2018, research by GEEARS and the Metro Chamber found that childcare challenges lead to dramatic loss of economic activity for the state of Georgia. And you'll see our very last polling question pop up in the screen, I think. This is why we felt that it was important to take time to discuss workplace trends and potential strategies that the public and private sectors can adopt to ensure that working parents can thrive as employees, caregivers, and community members, while at the same time, our economy can get back to business. So I'm so pleased now to turn to David Rubinger, the publisher of the Atlanta Business Chronicle, who will serve as the moderator for our panel discussion today. Thank you to David and the rest of the panelists.
Thank you, Mindy, and congratulations to GEEARS on 11 years. We had a full year to celebrate 10. Congratulations on all. This is such an important topic, and you set the stage perfectly for this discussion. Business Chronicle is all about economic development, and you can't have economic development unless your employees are able to take care of their own personal needs in terms of their families, in terms of their children, and GEEARS is doing such important work towards helping accomplish that goal. So thank you very much for asking me to serve as a moderator. But I'm really excited about our panelists. We have 3 people who really are living on the front lines of this issue every day. And I'm just excited to hear what they have to say on these issues. We have Ursula McNeil, who's the head of human resources for Bluebird in Macon, Georgia. And Ursula, I can't wait to hear your stories. You're talking about living on the front lines. What you do with your employees is somewhat harrowing. And just, I'm letting the other panelists know, I'm probably going to want to start with Ursula so she can tell the personal story of what's going on at Bluebird. Just letting them know, because we did a little pre-planning here. And then we have John Helton from GEEARS. John has spent his career in the workforce development space, and he's going to talk about how we connect employees to employers and what's going on in the world. And lastly, Dee Dee Johnson, Client Services Director for Bright Horizons. Bright Horizons has a great business model, but they also are serving such a critical need in terms of providing childcare on-site to corporations around the state. Dee Dee, welcome. I'm just looking forward to hearing what you all have to say. But Ursula, I'd like to start with you. You're living, again, on the front lines of all this. Tell me what your last year and a half has been like at Bluebird.
Well, David, thank you. And thanks to everyone for inviting me to spend some time with you this afternoon. Certainly, Bluebird has been faced with a lot of different challenges as we have managed through this pandemic. Some of the same concerns that have faced a lot of other organizations have been very pronounced for us. Supply chains disruptions, ensuring that we continue to maintain a workforce that is healthy during this pandemic so that we can continue to produce the world's safest vehicles for our most precious cargo has been a challenge for us. But we have been able to manage that very well by having employees that truly understand how pivotal and how critical their roles are, and willingly being on the front line and recognizing their importance as essential workers. So it has certainly been challenging times, but we've been able to embrace those challenges very well, given our employee population.
John, from GEEARS' standpoint, from your career and working in workforce development, what are you seeing out in the world right now in our current COVID state in terms of connecting employers and employees, and what are the issues you think are at the forefront on their minds?
Sure, and thank you, David. Thank you to GEEARS, and congratulations again, Mindy and Stephanie and team. So it's unprecedented times, and I've been, like you said, doing workforce development for in excess of 25 years. We've never seen things happening quite the way they are right now. And even though the unemployment rate is nearing back now, in July it was 3.7 compared to March of 2020 when it was 3.6. Labor force participation is quite different. So we're still near a full point below in July of this year what we were in March of 2020, which means that people are still very apprehensive about going back to work. And indeed, we hear stories of people actually leaving the labor force and maybe not even going back to work or doing something different than what they were doing in the past. We're also seeing some really cool innovation though. And Ursula, thank you for Bluebird's commitment to your employees. I know some of the things that you all have been doing to try to make employment with Bluebird palpable during the pandemic. And lots of companies are doing that. And, you know, we all heard the stories about the telecommuting and how up to 48% of people who have been telecommuting during the pandemic and reflect a higher quality of job or higher indicators of job quality since the pandemic and working at home. And I think some of those things, and the important thing for us to do right now is to take the lessons that we've learned over the past year and a half and take those forward with us, particularly as it relates to how COVID has really shown a light on equity disparities and how we might be able to turn this essential workforce that, you know, prior to the pandemic they were low-wage workers or service workers, and now they've become essential. How do we keep their status as essential workers moving forward?
Dee, I want to turn to you for a second and sort of introduce yourself. I mean, everyone is familiar with I think everyone on this call is probably familiar with Bright Horizons, but talk about what you all have had to do as an organization to help support the needs of employers like a Bluebird or other employers that you work with around the state by providing that critical need for childcare, especially if in dealing with businesses that have essential workforce.
Thank you, David, and congratulations to GEEARS. Even though I don't have my pennant and my balloons up, I'm having some technical issues. I'm still celebrating. So thank you again for this opportunity. And, you know, really what we've seen is something we've been dealing with for a while, but we've just seen that under a whole new magnifying glass in this last year and a half. And so there's always been a trilemma. There's always been this difficulty of parents trying to find childcare, whether it's affordable childcare, whether it's quality childcare, and especially whether there's even spots out there for your child, especially age 2 and under. Those are the most sought after childcare spots. And so we found that partnering with employers is a great way for us to really be able to help solve that issue and take one stressor off of working parents. And so, you know, we have worked right alongside those essential workers. Ursula, we feel your pain. We understand. We work very heavily in the healthcare industry. So we've been running childcare centers 24/7. So our childcare workers are around the clock, and they've been there during the height of the pandemic to make sure that those essential workers could get into the office without having to worry about childcare. And I think that's truly been, you know, essential in what we've dealt with. And so we see the need for childcare just continuing to grow, and especially supporting working women, because we've seen, since the majority of the childcare kind of responsibility typically falls on the female within that family unit, they're the ones that have really been impacted and have really had to make some decisions on returning to work and what that looks like and what type of support their employer's providing. So we've been there to provide those options for those employers.
Well, Ursula, I want to turn back to you. Tell me about some of the conversations. There are two things I'm wondering about. You have the workforce retention issue and you have the workforce recruitment issue. How important is the child care, family care, flexibility piece towards both keeping your folks on the front lines and recruiting new folks? And what are some of the tools that you've put into place even before COVID that you think has helped make you guys an attractive employer?
Well, I definitely think that both of those factors, so having employees knowing that they can come to work without having to worry so much about the needs of their children, and knowing that there's going to be accessibility, they were going to have accessibility to childcare is important. So we have been really fortunate to be able to work in a way to provide those opportunities to our employees through local partnerships in the community. And it certainly does create a challenge when we are trying to recruit and also retain our talent. So looking at ways in which we can augment work schedules to provide greater flexibility is an area that we have been able to do some work in to make it a little bit more palatable for individuals so they don't have to have those concerns as early as possible. So whenever we're able to do those things, we certainly do.
What's the most common childcare? How do most of your folks deal with childcare issues? Is it primarily community-based childcare, churches, other family members? If you had to do sort of a loose survey of your folks, what do you think is the most common way that they take care of their children?
It is a mixture. So it is through daycare services that are provided through churches, through other organizations, but then also it's a lot reliance on family members that can partner with them to provide that childcare, as well. So it is a variety for our workforce.
Got it. John, in your work, what have been some of the creative things you've seen that employers have done as a way to help recruit talent? I mean, the war for talent right now, it's actually the cover story of the Chronicle this week, is all about the war for talent. It is the conversation. I can't start any conversation off with any business without talking about, I can't pay my folks enough. I can't, it's just so hard. What are some of the cool solutions you've seen that you think have been effective with some of the agencies you've worked with?
I think flexibility is a key. And I think, Ursula, you highlighted a couple of those very specific strategies around flexible scheduling and work sites. And obviously for those jobs that allow for working from home, telecommuting. But it's the age of virtual, right? And the recruitment platforms, we have at GEEARS, one of our major roles is helping support our other community-based organizations and our public workforce system, support employers in recruiting talent. And so we have invested in virtual recruiting platforms that we can make available. Gone are the days of the huge, 150 booth job fair, which some recruiters probably like Ursula are completely fine with that, but they've really had to completely change their way of recruitment to a virtual landscape. And we've had companies like Anthem dispatch 7,500 laptops across their workforce so that they could accommodate account management happening from home and virtual account management. Home Depot has increased their dependent care subsidy to help people also. So there's just a variety of ways that companies have been very responsive, but I would say flexibility is the key word. So whatever the issue is, assign the word flexibility to it and then move in that direction.
So Dee, you walk into a business that clearly has the need for on-site childcare support. It's the kind of service that Bright Horizons could easily do just because you guys have been doing it for so long and you're so accomplished at it. Yet their CFO says, that costs too much money. We can't afford to do that. What are some of the tools, what are some of the tricks of the trade that you use when you go in to talk to companies to say, it's worth the investment? This is going to pay for itself in the long run.
Sure. And I appreciate that, David, because what we found during this pandemic was options were key, right? So not one size fits all, simply for the reason of what John shared, that we've got more folks telecommuting, so they may not actually be coming into the office. They may be looking for care closer to home versus at their corporate campus. And so, when we're having those discussions with the employer, it's all about understanding who their employees are. It's understanding the demographics. It's understanding what some of their challenges are, what their work schedules look like, and really tailoring that to them. When it comes to an on-site childcare center, we're fortunate that there's a lot of incentives that companies can take advantage of. So not only do we have federal tax credits as part of the GEEARS Act, up to 25% in tax credits for the actual construction of an on-site childcare center and then ongoing support. But then the state of Georgia, it's one of the only states in the U.S. that actually provides additional incentives on top of that, up to 75%. So the savings can be huge. And when you start looking at the ROI on this program, you're looking at what is absenteeism costing you? What is it costing you when people leave your workforce and you're having to go out and recruit and train new employees? And so we've been fortunate to work with a lot of partners in Georgia simply because of the benefits that come with it. So Home Depot is a great client of ours. We partner with Chick-fil-A, Georgia Power, Georgia Pacific, Wellstar, Emory. So the folks in the Atlanta area and the state of Georgia have really seen how those incentives help. And then when they start seeing the return on investment and how it's going to improve those other areas of engagement and retention, it makes a huge difference. And quite honestly, at that point, it is a very easy sell. It's finding the space on your campus or near campus. And then we've got a team that comes in and helps develop that center. But back to my original point, if it's not an on-site center, we've got all kind of options where you can take advantage of network partners, other centers, discounts for tuition, discounts for tutoring, a whole host of things. So not one size fits all, but just options that employees can take advantage of.
So this will probably be the last question because I'm gonna try to give everyone the opportunity to give it one last shot. We have about 7 minutes left. Ursula, I'll start with you. COVID has been so difficult on so many people in so many different ways, but what are some of the key things that COVID did that you think helped Bluebird focus as I'll use your HR department as a specific example. What do you think it's done to help you focus in terms of prioritization and getting things right that you'll take away going forward once we get beyond the pandemic?
Well, I think prior to the pandemic for our organization, we really hadn't fully explored how we could leverage some of our existing technology to get work done and realize that work could get done a lot differently than it had been in the past in a more conventional way. So it has really helped us realize, that there is a different way in which we can work. So of course, some of those things will not change. And as we look to bring the rest of our population back, returning to work, we're going to continue to employ some of the strategies that we had, we utilized during the pandemic. So that's been one thing that we will continue to do. One thing that we realized too is that it's important to stay connected. And we really were very planful and intentional about being very connected, especially for our remote working employees during this crisis. So having frequent communications virtually, doing roundtables, those things we will continue to do and we'll continue to intensify.
Great. John, what about you? What do you think is going to be some of the lasting components of that they're going to be things that survive once we get ourselves back to what we're going to call normal at some point?
Yeah, sure. So to kind of platforming off of what Ursula has shared in terms of just businesses rethinking the resources that we already had in many cases. We just didn't use them the way that we could have, or these options existed in the past. We just hadn't quite got there yet. What we do at CareerRise oftentimes is very systems focused and how organizations work together, and the public system works with the private system, works with businesses. And we've really rethought how business is done and how we help people access career and employment opportunities. So I just put very briefly in the chat there, atlworks.org, which is a very tangible outcome of the COVID pandemic. It's something that we had in the works to begin with, but one primary piece of federal legislation called the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act is how a lot of people who've been laid off from work or who are low income can actually access job training. And for many years, we've been working on how can we make it an easier system to access and to create equity through better access in the workforce development system. So atlworks.org, I invite you to take a look at it and check it out. We plan on continuing to grow this as a resource. And it's something that came specifically from the pandemic. So that, in addition to our emphasis on, and really taking a close examination of job quality and how that plays into how we help support workers through the pandemic and beyond, I think are going to be lasting effects of the pandemic.
And Dee Dee, take out your crystal ball. A year from now, 2 years from now, what are going to be the lasting changes? Obviously, I see your organization continuing to grow and flourish. What do you see in terms of specifically in terms of the child care component of this? Since this is GEEARS and we are talking about the kids, I don't want to lose focus on what this is all about at the end of the day. What do you think would be the lasting impressions for early childhood education as it interacts with the workforce or with businesses around Georgia?
I think what you're going to see is that it's at a whole new level in regards to importance now. I think the pandemic really showed employers how they play a role in providing that quality education. And it's so important for that early education. We know that sets the groundwork for children as they continue to grow and kind of learn in their environment. And so being able to provide that quality right up front, and you as an employer being able to be part of that, makes such a huge difference. And then it also, I think, plays into the fact of how critical that could be to you meeting your missions. One of our proudest moments last year, we set up pop-up childcare centers for Pfizer in a matter of weeks because they needed their employees on site, obviously, to bring us the vaccine that we all needed. And when we received that thank you note back, that's what gives us the passion and the heart for what we do, because our partners are our family. And so I think it brings all of that back home. We've all got to work together to accomplish those goals.
And the great thing about all of this is all of you are laying the foundation for not just today, but for our kids when they're adults and they go into the workforce. It's what I hope to see is that these things become the norms, right? That it's no longer that we're having to go to the legislature and fight for things. And all. This is just going to become part of what our essence is as how businesses and families work together towards making sure their kids are taken care of, the parents are taken care of, the stress level gets reduced, and we're living in a better society that helps take care of all the generations and still helps your business. I mean, Bluebird should still be prospering and making sure they get kids places safely, but they should also still be able to earn a profit. So it's good that we're able to accomplish all these goals in a meaningful way. Ursula, John, Dee Dee, thank you so much for taking the time, and to GEEARS for giving us this platform to have this conversation. Y'all are great. You're all doing fantastic work, and I can't thank you enough for being part of the panel today. And with that, Mindy, I am happy to hand it back to you. If you have a last question or comment, feel free to chime in. But other than that, we pass it back to y'all. And happy anniversary.
Thank you so much to our panel. Thank you to all of you. David, thank you so much for moderating. Dee Dee, Ursula, John, thank you for making this day and today special, and for your input. This work really is a partnership, and we need the business community, as David said, along with the parents, partners, elected officials, funders, and others to ensure that Georgia can prosper, both our current workforce and our future workforce. Stephanie, I think, is going to take us away to highlight just a few things that we can do.
Well, thank you again to our panel, and to David, who's a fellow Rotarian, for moderating. This has been taped, and there was so much meaty information in there that I would encourage you to be able to take that back to the folks you work with and help share this information and this discussion that David moderated with folks in your workplace as well. It's such valuable information. It was really enlightening. So this work really is about partnership. We can't do it without the business community, without parents, teachers, without elected officials, without our funders. We need everyone to join in to ensure that our families in Georgia can prosper. So there are some things that I want to highlight that you all can do and get your friends to do as well. So you can hashtag Make the Pact, as we mentioned earlier. That's our Atlanta-wide initiative that stands for Promise All Atlanta Children Thrive. So if you visit our website, childrenraiseatlanta.com, you can sign up there. You can follow it, Pact ATL, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we would encourage not only your networks, but your individual places of business or your foundation, whatever it may be, to make the pact with us. You can take action. As we mentioned earlier, when we had 10,000 letters come in, we were able to prevent cuts to pre-K. So you can also help us advocate for sustained federal investments that help us resolve some of these childcare challenges. Call your members of Congress to ask if they support this or if they need information about this. We'll be glad to help you get anything to them. But we need those family supports in the budget reconciliation bill. And we'll be sending another copy of our action alert with messages that you can share and easy ways to connect with your elected officials. And it's interesting, I had an elected official tell me once that he was astonished by how few people he actually heard from. And those people that he did hear from in numbers were things that he paid attention to. So we want to always make sure that early childhood is something that they are paying attention to. Also, we can't make the GEEARS go around without some of the financial support. So if you haven't ever done it, we would encourage you to become a first-time donor in honor of our anniversary. If you have done it in the past, we'd love to have you do it again. And you can donate at www.gears.org to make that donation. And finally, before we close, I want to say that I hope you all are staying so safe. We do know that the vaccine, while it doesn't prevent breakthrough infection, does help folks from getting so terribly sick. I actually found out that my 20-year-old son, who is double vaccinated, but like so many kids going back to school, had been exposed, and recently 2 days ago found out that he had tested positive. He was really sick though. And I shudder to think what would have happened with him had he not been vaccinated, how sick he might have been. So please encourage everyone you love and know to get their vaccine. Hopefully we will get this all past us sooner rather than later, and our next celebration will be in person, or our next learning opportunity will be in person. And finally, if you have a few minutes to stay with us online, we'd love to show you more of our tribute videos. There's some wonderful friends on there, and their words are, I think, worth hearing. So we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. And thank you for taking the time to join us. And thank you for being our partners over the past 11 years. Have a great day.
And education. So GEEARS, it is because of you that we...
Happy birthday, GEEARS. 10 years have gone by very fast. GEEARS has become an important contributor to the early development and education of children in the first 5 years of life. Congratulations on the work that's been done. In these challenging times, there's still much more to do. Thank you, GEEARS.
Hello, GEEARS family. I'm Peter Berg. I'm honored to wish us all a hearty congratulations on the occasion of our 10th anniversary. It is such a privilege and honor to serve on the GEEARS board and to be a part of this good work that is helping every single child in the state of Georgia. I particularly enjoy serving on this board with so many friends, individuals who I've come to admire and to adore. And I want to take this opportunity to share a very special thank you to the staff who work day in and day out to make GEEARS one of the most successful and important nonprofits in our entire state. Here's to the last 10 years, and here's looking forward to another 10 more plus. May we go from...
A phenomenal work in our community. Thank you so much for your commitment and your dedication to the youngest children in the state of Georgia. We appreciate all of your work and your leadership. Thank you to the entire team, and especially to you, Mindy, for being an amazing partner in this work. Congratulations and happy 10-year anniversary.
Good afternoon. My name is Yolanda Adre. I'm a board member of GEEARS. I'm the mother of 2 working daughters and have 3 grandchildren. And I am very grateful for the tremendous advocacy work GEEARS has done over the last 10 years on behalf of children our most precious resource, and their education and their proper child care. I can't wait to see what you achieve in the next 10 years. Congratulations.
Good afternoon. My name is Kenneth Braswell, CEO of Fathers Incorporated, and I want to wish GEEARS a happy 10th anniversary. Many more surely to come. Great job. Work well done. Take care.
Sorry, we have a small technical difficulty. Y'all bear with me. Let's try to get this going again.
The 10th anniversary. Many more surely to come. Great job. Work well done. Take care.
Of phenomenal work in our community. Thank you so much for your commitment.
Anniversary GEEARS. It has been such an honor to work along such bright and passionate advocates for the young people in our state as all of you. I am thrilled about this milestone in your history and look forward to working alongside you for many, many more. Happy 10th.
Hi, my name is Grant Rivera and I serve as very proud superintendent here at Merida City Schools. And I want to congratulate everyone at GEEARS for celebrating their 10-year anniversary. Thank you for all that you've done to lead early learning throughout the entire state of Georgia. I am personally thankful here in Marietta for all that you've done to help us open our early learning center for professional learning, for data, for support, for friendship, for networks. You've impacted so many lives, the adults and our youngest learners. Congratulations on your 10-year anniversary. We are so proud.
Thank you so much to everyone. Have a great day. Thank you for submitting your videos, for sharing your comments in the chat, and for being here today. We look forward to working with you in the future. Bye-bye.